at an American History Museum, and it sounds like you're proud of it. You won't answer the questions, probably because you're ashamed. And as a woman, I really can't believe you will sit here today, and you can't even admit that sexual imagery, like this behind me, they tell me, my staff tells me, this little trinket around the penis, this is BDSM, in a setting where children are walking through. That's disgusting. Like, what kind of message are you trying to send to kids with BDSM imagery? What are you trying to tell kids? Are you sexualizing children? Is that what your motive is for the museum? Why?
So that specific two-piece...
Do you know how many kids get raped by adults every year in this country? This kind of thing, when you are dressing men up as women, drag queens, you're putting this kind of crap in front of kids, sexualizes them, and makes them more vulnerable to people that want to rape them or abuse them. Or when we have men and women's settings that want to do harm to women. You talked about the girlhood exhibit, and you didn't want to answer the chairman's questions earlier, but it was a diary featuring a six-year-old that reads, "Everybody was talking about getting boobs in their period. I pray to God every night for my penis to grow." Dr. Hartig, can you tell me, look me in the eye and tell me that that belongs in an exhibit for kids?
Ma'am, Girlhood, It's Complicated was not an exhibit designed for children.
I know, you had the little disclaimer thing, which is sort of
the diary was of a 13-year-old going through puberty.
Okay, do you think that's an appropriate thing to put in an American History Museum where there are children walking through? We're talking about American history.
Right, so Girlhood, It's Complicated.
Okay, I'm moving on because I don't know how much money you spent on getting prepped for this hearing. They did a good job because you're filibustering and not answering a single question from a single Republican. Today, do you believe that men can become women?
Ma'am, as the director of the museum, that's not relevant in this case.
It's very relevant. You've got men dressed up as women and you have them on displays in front of kids. Do you think men can become women, yes or no?
So RuPaul's Drag Race, which is the upper...
It's a man. RuPaul is a man who dresses like a woman, literally.
Correct.
What is a woman, Dr. Hartig?
As a director and as a historian, it's not my opportunity.
You sexualize the American History Museum, so this is a fair question. What is a woman?
So at the museum...
What is a woman?
We strive to represent and not categorize all Americans.
Okay, I have another question for you. There's a glossary at the museum that informs visitors that while American culture traditionally recognizes two genders, other countries recognize three or more. So enlighten me this morning. How many genders are there?
Ma'am, which glossary?
This is a display, and that has a glossary that says other countries recognize three or more genders. So I would like you to enlighten me today. You're the director of the American History Museum who's sexualized things in front of kids. I want to ask you, how many genders are there?
So first of all, I'm happy to get back to you about the glossary.
How many genders are there?
I'm not sure.
And what are they?
I'm not sure which glossary you're speaking of.
Of course, I know that you don't. You know exactly what this hearing was about today. One of your exhibits at the American History Museum says sometimes gender isn't revealed at birth. So when is gender revealed?
So
when was your gender revealed to you, Dr. Hartig?
So I don't really think that's relevant to the
conversation. It is relevant. You have a display at the American History Museum talking about gender isn't always revealed at birth. So when was your gender revealed?
So since I am a PhD and...
I wasn't done yet, but I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mace.
Mr. Walkinshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually glad we're having this hearing today of the Subcommittee on Government Efficiency, because finally we have abandoned the pretense that this subcommittee has anything to do with government efficiency. Just like Elon Musk's Doge wasn't about efficiency, it was an ideological purge of the federal government, this assault on the Smithsonian has nothing to do with efficiency. It's an ideological effort, to quote Mr. Gonzalez, a cultural battle. But let's go ahead and talk about rewriting history. Let's talk about it. Because that's what the Trump administration is doing as we speak. It's Jackie Robinson, Before he stepped onto Ebbets Field, he wore the uniform of the United States Army. He broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947. He didn't just transform a sport, he challenged one of the last great institutions of legalized segregation in America. He helped move our country closer to the promise that talent and character matter more than the color of your skin. I guess for President Trump's Department of Defense, he was part of the DEI problem we've heard about today, because he got erased, removed from the website, canceled, restored only after public outcry. The Tuskegee Airmen flew more than 15,000 combat missions during World War II, escorting American bombers over Europe. They didn't just help defeat Nazi Germany, they helped to dismantle segregation in the U.S. Armed Forces. Somehow, they're also part of the DEI problem we've heard about today because they were erased. The Air Force removed a documentary on the Tuskegee Airmen from their course instruction. Navajo Code Talkers. Young Navajo Marines developed an unbreakable battlefield code that Japanese forces couldn't crack. It helped American forces win some of the toughest battles in the Pacific, saved countless American lives. Also, apparently, part of the DEI problem, because they got erased. Now the Trump administration and my Republican colleagues are focusing their anti-DEI erasure efforts on the Smithsonian. Last week, they released this report we've discussed today, saying the museum has been captured by, quote, extreme political activism. It's pretty extreme, deleting Jackie Robinson. Why the report? Because the museum tells the full American story. It examines slavery alongside liberty. It discusses immigration alongside citizenship. It recognizes the struggle for civil rights alongside our founding ideals, and yes, the flaws of our founders. But according to this administration, that's not patriotic. They erased Jackie Robinson. They erased the Tuskegee Airmen. They erased the Navajo Code Talkers. And now they want to take their big orange eraser to a proud American institution, the Smithsonian. We should reject this effort to erase our history because in America, the truth has always been our strength. It's not a weakness, Mr.
One question unexpectedly transformed a routine congressional hearing into one of the most heated debates of the day. What should children actually see inside America's museums? That was the issue Representative Nancy Mace brought directly to Smithsonian National Museum of American History Director Dr. Anthea Hartig, and from the very beginning, it became clear this wasn't going to be an ordinary exchange. Rather than easing into the conversation, Mace immediately focused on exhibits she argued were inappropriate for children. She asked whether teaching American history was one of the museum's central responsibilities. Dr. Hartig answered yes. If that's true, Mace essentially argued, why are children encountering displays that include sexual imagery? Instead of giving the simple yes or no answer Mace was demanding, Hartig repeatedly returned to a broader principle. The Smithsonian, she explained, exists to tell the stories of all Americans. But that answer only intensified the criticism. Mace accused the museum of avoiding the question entirely. She argued that representing history and introducing sexual content into exhibits were two completely different issues. In her view, a museum dedicated to American history should focus on educating families, not exposing children to material she described as explicit. Mace pointed to portions of the museum's girlhood exhibition, including diary excerpts discussing gender identity and puberty. She questioned whether material like that belonged in a national museum visited by millions of schoolchildren each year. Dr. Hartig responded that the exhibit was not specifically designed for young children and that the museum provided context for visitors. But that explanation did little to satisfy the Congresswoman. Mace began asking questions about biological sex, gender identity, and whether the museum's exhibits reflected political ideology rather than historical scholarship. To her, avoiding those answers only raised more concerns about the direction the museum was taking. Instead of focusing on exhibits about gender, Garcia argued that the real issue was political interference in American history. He reminded the committee about recent controversies involving federal websites where pages about Jackie Robinson, the Tuskegee Airmen, and the Navajo Code Talkers had temporarily disappeared before being restored. Garcia suggested those incidents reflected a larger effort to reshape the way Americans remember their past. If we're worried about erasing history, his argument implied, shouldn't we also be worried when the achievements of American heroes disappear from public institutions? That shifted the hearing into a much broader discussion. Was this really about museum exhibits? Or was it becoming another chapter in America's ongoing culture war over education, identity, and national memory? To help answer that question, lawmakers turned to historian David Blight. Rather than choosing a political side, Blight reflected on history itself. He argued that figures like Jackie Robinson could never truly be erased because their achievements permanently changed the country. You can remove a web page, he suggested. You can alter an exhibit. But history has a way of resurfacing because people continue telling those stories generation after generation. Blight warned that the greatest danger isn't simply deleting information. It's discouraging curiosity. When people stop asking difficult questions about the past, they lose the ability to understand the present. For some lawmakers, patriotism means ensuring museums avoid material they believe is inappropriate for families. For others, patriotism means presenting the full complexity of America's story, even when parts of that story make people uncomfortable. By the time the hearing ended,